Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Sebastian.
And we are with the Trevor Project, a national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention resources to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth, young adults, and their allies.
We're here to talk to you about depression and suicide. We're going to share some thoughts on how you can help yourself or a friend who might be experiencing depression. And you may come up with your own solutions that work best for you.
And of course, the Trevor Project has created a lot of great resources for you as well if you need to talk to somebody.
But before we begin, we want to acknowledge that these aren't topics that we talk about in our everyday life.
I mean, people can find it awkward to talk about depression or suicide.
And there's this belief that asking for help is looked at as a negative, almost like you're not strong enough or you can't handle it all alone.
Actually, it's the opposite. Asking to talk to somebody about suicide or depression or asking for help when you're struggling, it's actually a sign of strength. And remember, the person sharing this video with you is there for you as well if you want to talk to anyone about any of the things that Sebastian or I have talked to you about today. And of course, the Trevor Project is always there for you as well. And we're going to share a lot of great resources with you a little later on. But if you want to talk to someone during or after this conversation, you can always call the Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. And there's someone there to listen or talk 24/7.
A lot of our conversation today is going to focus on how you can help a friend or be a lifeguard if they need you. But before you can help someone else, it's important that you're able to help yourself. One thing we want to be clear about is that it's normal to feel stressed or overwhelmed or sad. Everyone feels that way sometimes.
And when you're feeling that way, it's important to take care of yourself. We call this self-care.
Self-care is any kind of healthy behavior or action that helps relieve stress and tension, or puts you in a better place.
Exactly. And when you're in that place of heightened stress or emotion, it can be really hard to snap out of it. So let's talk about some ways that you can take yourself out of that place and feel better. For me, it's music. I love to just put my headphones on and tune out the world for a little bit. So let's brainstorm about some ways that you can practice self-care.
I like playing the guitar.
Or maybe even the piano.
Reading comic books.
Or maybe reading a novel.
Playing sports, basketball.
Or playing some video games.
Photography.
Or writing or blogging.
You could call up a close friend.
Or maybe even talk to your aunt.
Take a warm bath.
Paint your nails.
Dancing.
Going out for a run or a walk.
Painting, drawing.
Or maybe even watching some TV or going to see a movie.
Those are great examples, and there may be other things that didn't make the list.
Any kind of healthy activity that makes you feel better can be a form of self-care. It's important for a lot of reasons, but it's important mainly because it can take you out of those feelings of stress and anxiousness and take you to a place where you're more calm, relaxed, and help distract you until you're in a better place. But what happens if those strategies for self-care don't work?
That's actually a great question. Self-care is great, but sometimes we might be struggling with deeper feelings.
Exactly. And depression is definitely something that can bring on some of those feelings. Perhaps you struggle with a dark and depressed mood, or you feel really tired even after you've had a really good night's sleep. Maybe you feel irritated or angry. Maybe you don't feel motivated to do the things that you normally like to do, like hang out with friends or go to the movies. Maybe you feel really sick with headaches or body aches. In some ways, some of the things that normally make you happy, they just aren't fun. Maybe you feel like things are never gonna get better and you just can't get out of the funk. Maybe you even feel hopeless.
Admitting you have these feelings can be really difficult. However, I think it's really brave to speak up and ask for help. So let's think of some people in our lives that we can reach out to.
Maybe your favorite teacher.
Or a guidance counselor at school.
Or maybe a counselor or therapist you've spoken to before or outside of school.
Or a family member you're close to, or a friend you trust.
Maybe even a youth group leader too.
The point is, it can be anyone you feel comfortable talking to. Someone to let you know that you're not alone and that it's okay to have these feelings.
Right. So now that we've talked about the ways that you can help yourself, in the next section, we're going to dive deeper, and we're going to talk about the warning signs of suicide and depression and how you can respond to a friend who's experiencing those things.
And as a quick reminder, if you need to talk to someone about the things we've discussed today, the Trevor Project is here 24/7. You can reach us by calling 1-866-488-7386. Hey, it's Sebastian from the Trevor Project.
And I'm Rachel.
Last time we talked about what we call self-care. Different things that you can do to make yourself feel better if you're feeling anxious or depressed.
Now let's talk about some ways that you can recognize if a friend might need some help or is considering suicide. So let's start with the warning signs of suicide.
We call them warning signs because there's usually ways to tell if someone's thinking about suicide. Let's create a list.
Feeling hopeless, as if nothing's ever going to change. I mean, that's a sign. Also feeling trapped, as if there's no way out of your current situation.
Or feeling anxious, agitated, or out of control. Mood changes could be a sign.
And these are signs that someone might be feeling internally, but they're also signs that you might actually be able to see or hear.
Right, it can be different for every person, and there are a lot of different things that you might notice. Your friend may talk or even write about death or dying.
I know this may seem obvious, but if someone says they want to hurt themselves or kill themselves, that's a sign. Some people take that as a joke or brush it off, but if someone makes those kinds of statements, it's important to take them seriously.
There are a lot of different ways to say those things too. They may say, "I just want to end it all. I wish I was dead. I just want to sleep forever." Or they could post it online too.
Another sign is isolation.
Yeah, you may notice that your friend is starting to become withdrawn. You're noticing that they're not spending as much time with you or your other friends, or they stop playing sports or go in a band. Sometimes you may notice reckless behavior, a lot of risk-taking without thinking about the consequences.
Yeah, drugs are a great example of that. You might notice an increase in the amount of drugs or alcohol someone is using, but really any kind of major change in behavior or someone acting drastically different is a sign that they might need some help.
Depression could be a warning sign too.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Like we said earlier, everyone can feel sad sometimes, but when we're talking about depression, we're talking about extreme feelings of sadness that last 2 weeks or longer. Depression is actually very common, and sometimes you or your friend might feel depressed, and there are ways to get help.
Depression is totally treatable.
But just because you feel depressed, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're considering suicide. It might just mean that maybe you need a little extra support from a friend, which would be great.
It's different for every person, but there are some things that you can notice if your friend might be depressed.
Eating more or eating less, a lack of energy, sleeping a lot or not being able to sleep at all, feeling sick or physically in pain, feeling isolated or withdrawn, or even like we said earlier, withdrawing from your friends and family, and also just being really irritable and angry.
The thing is, suicide and depression are both complex. These warning signs can be helpful, but you know your friends better than anyone. If you notice something different, it might be good just to check in on them. So, if we see these warning signs, what do? How could you help?
Well, you could let them know that you care, you could listen to them, and you could let them know that it's okay for them to talk about their feelings. Maybe give them a hug, or take them out to dinner, or go watch a movie. Really anything that you like to do together.
Totally. Sometimes these signs might mean that someone just needs you to check in and make sure that they're okay.
It might be more than that, though. If you feel your friend might be thinking about suicide, then it's time to take action to make sure that they stay safe and get help.
Exactly. Let's talk about the steps you would want to take if you are concerned that a friend might be thinking about taking their life. First, you can talk to them. Let them know that you care and that you are there for them.
They might tell you that they are feeling very alone or sad or as if no one cares. Well, let them know that you care. Show them that you accept what they're sharing. Sometimes it's really comforting to know that someone accepts what you're going through. And be genuine so that they know that you care and that you're not just brushing off their feelings.
Remember, these things can be hard to talk about. So it's great if you can be someone who your friend feels safe talking to and that they won't be judged for what they're sharing with you.
Of course, we want to make sure to keep our friends safe. So if they share that they're thinking about suicide or harming themselves in any way, empower them to reach out for help. Reaching out can be scary, but let them know that you admire them for talking about how they feel. It's really brave to reach out for help. Remind them of that. Maybe you could even help them think of an adult that they trust and feel comfortable talking to, and maybe even connect them to that person.
Don't keep this information to yourself. We all have secrets with our friends, but this could be a life or death situation, so it's different. You could be the person who helps your friend get the support they need to get through this difficult time. If you are concerned about a friend and they tell you that they're thinking about suicide, talk to an adult you trust and let them know what's going on. While it may feel like you're sharing something personal and betraying your friend's trust, you will be helping your friend get the support they need.
Remember the list we created last time of the people you might reach out to for help? You might want to talk to one of the people on the list, or maybe there's even someone else that you could think of.
And as you know, the Trevor Project is always here for you. We'll talk more in the next segment about the ways Trevor is available to help. And if you are concerned about a friend, you can always call the Trevor Lifeline day or night at 1-866-488-7386.
Hey, it's Rachel and Sebastian again from the Trevor Project.
We've gone over a lot of the information, and by now you should feel pretty confident helping someone who's going through a difficult time or thinking about suicide.
There was self-care, the things you can do when you're feeling sad or stressed out.
We've talked about depression and what you might feel if you're depressed, and also what you might notice in another person who is experiencing depression or thinking about suicide. There's actually a tool that can help you remember what to do if a friend is showing any of the warning signs of suicide. It's called Why Care.
Sebastian, what does the Y stand for?
You. You are never alone or responsible for anyone who chooses to take their own life. But you can listen, support, and connect them with the help they need.
Connect. I'm guessing that's the C.
That's right. Connect the person to the resources they need to get help, like a supportive, trusted adult. That could be a parent, an aunt, a teacher, or a doctor.
What's the A?
A is for accept. Accept what the person is telling you and take them seriously.
And the R?
Respond. If your friend has a plan to attempt suicide, respond by telling someone you trust. Remember, you don't have to handle this on your own.
And what about the E?
E is for empower. You can empower someone who's struggling by sharing the Trevor Project's resources. One of the best messages you can give someone in crisis is that they're not alone. There are people out there that have gone through the same situation, people who know what it's like and made it through. And there are so many different types of resources for different types of situations, like the Trevor Lifeline, for example.
Right. The Lifeline is always available. So if you or someone you know is in crisis or thinking about suicide at 3 a.m, you can call the Lifeline and someone will pick up the phone and talk to you.
What if you're struggling, but you'd rather chat online than actually talk to someone on the phone?
There's Trevor Chat, which is an online messaging service, and Trevor Text, a text messaging service. Like the Lifeline, both are free and run by trained counselors, but they're only available at specific times, so if you need help right away, you should definitely call the Lifeline.
Got it. What if you're not in a crisis, but just have questions? Maybe you're curious or unsure about something and haven't been able to find a clear answer.
Yeah, questions like, how should I come out to my parents? Or how do I find more information about all the different gender identities? For that, you can post questions to Ask Trevor, which you'll also find on the Trevor Project's website. Ask Trevor authors read every single letter that's submitted and post their answers online. So you can also view answers to other people's questions and get info that way.
Reading other people's letters could also help you feel less alone. Just knowing that other people are unsure about stuff or maybe even going through the exact same thing is kind of reassuring.
Definitely. You can actually connect with some of these people on trevorspace.org. It's a site for LGBTQ youth and their allies between the ages of 13 and 24. And you can meet people from all over the world, chat with them, and find support. And it's totally safe. Disrespectful comments just aren't allowed, and Trevor never shares your participation in Trevor Space with anyone. Plus, there's info on events, how to get involved in your area, and news concerning LGBTQ youth.
So, now you know what's available.
Whether someone's thinking about suicide, just has a question, or wants to meet other LGBTQ people or allies,
And while the Trevor Project has created these resources to help lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth, we are here for everyone. You don't have to identify in any specific way to reach out and get help.
Well, that's because no matter what your sexual orientation or your gender identity is, you're important. The future is bright and yours can be filled with possibilities.
Thanks for watching. Remember, the Trevor Project is here to help.
Thanks, and stay strong.
Peace.